Greetings and salutations, real estate undergrounders. It is Ed Matthews with season 4 of the Real Estate Underground. Thank you so much for joining us today. With me today is Pete Neubig. Pete, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me here, man.
Man, it's
I'm
good.
super excited.
Pete is the founder and CEO of VPM Solutions. And it's interesting. You and I have been in this industry for so long, and we just recently met. I'm really excited to have you on the show today because your experience has been varied throughout the industry. And so we're going to hit on a whole bunch of points today. But for those folks who haven't discovered you online, why don't you just give us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, thank you for that intro. Pete Neubig, CEO of VPM Solutions. VPM is it's a two-sided marketplace that connects real estate industry with virtual team members. And I got there a long way. In 2001, I started investing in properties. In 2008, I bought too many of them. I didn't know how to manage them. In 2009, I created a management firm. In 2010, I started third-party managing company, managing for other people. 2019, I sold that business. And then in 2021, I came up and started VPM. So that's the long of it. I've owned apartment complexes and single families to duplexes all at the same time, managing them all. When I third-party managed, it was all single family.
Okay. All right, great. You've done a lot. And so
that just shows you how old I am, Ed.
I turned 55, so I think I got you. But in terms of the business, obviously you've done a lot of different things. Talk about good timing selling into the 2019 market. Well done, by the way. In terms of the businesses that you've run, it's like picking your favorite child. What's one of the businesses that you really felt like, okay, this is where I belong. This is where I'm thriving here. I love this. I love getting up on Monday morning.
So it ends up being VPM is the new one, right? But that's like the latest and greatest child. But I will tell you, when I was buying property, I loved buying houses. I loved it. And I was buying to hold. And my original vision, I had a business partner. His name is Steve, and I's original vision was to own 500 homes. That was the original vision. And we literally built Empire Property Management just to manage our homes.
Okay.
And what happened was, so that was it. That was it. I love that. I thought that was my purpose in life. And it ended up not being that way. The homes we were buying are Class D homes. And if anybody's owned Class D homes, they're really difficult to manage. They're tough to really squeeze that profit out of. And what we found was when we started third-party managing homes, before we started third-party managing homes, we had the management company, and my accountant said, hey, you have to pay into the management company as a management fee. You have to do this kind of legit. So we did it. At the end of the year, my management company made money, and the homes lost a bunch of money. And that was going to be a blinding flash of the obvious one in my head. And I'm like, hey, maybe we should third-party manage this stuff. And that got us into third-party managing. And then, of course, I thought that was my purpose. And then we sold, and there's a whole story there. Basically, I didn't want to sell. My partner wanted to sell. I wanted to keep my friendship with my partner and sell, business partner, by the way. I'm married to a beautiful woman, Felicia. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And then I thought that was my purpose. And then we sold. And then I was lost for about 18 months. I was working for the man, the company that bought us. And I had more money in my pocket than I ever had. I was making more than I ever had. And I was more miserable than I ever was. And that's when I realized money ain't everything. It helps. It's helpful, but it ain't the whole thing. So I started building VPM and launched that in 21. And now this is my new favorite thing. So I think whatever business I start is the thing I feel like that's my purpose.
Your most recent child is your favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah. I spent 24 plus years working for the man as well, or the woman in a couple cases. But I loved every minute of it until I didn't love it anymore. And then I had to go do something else. And
I think once you're out of it, it's hard. Look, everybody who's listening to this, if you guys are actively trying to buy real estate, my guess is that 90% of you are buying real estate to get that freedom, that financial freedom, because you don't have to be told to be at the office at 7 in to stay till 5 o'clock. And once you have your own schedule, it's hard to go back. It really is.
Yeah. It's funny. There were a couple of years there where I'd get phone calls from former colleagues or a recruiter. Hey, any chance? And I was like, no, I'm having fun. Now they don't call anymore. I'm not relevant to them. Unemployable. So, and I don't know that they're wrong. So in terms of the portfolio, how large, the single family portfolio, how large did that ever get?
Yeah. So what I owned, my largest was 31 single family homes and 3 apartment complexes, a 100 unit, a 32 unit, and a 52 unit. As far as when I managed third party, The biggest I got was right around 900, like 894. And I was in three markets. I was in Houston, Dallas, and Fort Worth.
That's a really healthy property management company. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And so let's fast forward. So you decide it's 2018, 19, and the world is changing. COVID hasn't quite hit yet. It's a few months off. But so what spurred you to sell the properties? Was it just the partnership, or?
I sold the properties before 18 and 19. So I didn't quite get that uplift. But what actually made me sell was they were Class D, and every year I was dumping money into them. They weren't appreciating yet. And I had held them for a few years at this point. And I realized like they're hard to manage. So my team now who's managing them were stressed out. And it was mainly due to my properties. I couldn't sell them originally. And so what I did is I actually owner financed them. Because yes, and I wrapped the note. And so I talked to the bank. We bought all these properties through a local bank at the time, which they're much easier to work with than the Chase banks. And I managed them. So for the first time in 10 years, I was making money on these properties because I was getting a management fee and I was getting my principal and interest from, and I would only sell them to investors at that time.
Okay.
Yep.
We've had several guests on the market on the show that have go into a market like that, and they'll buy them for 30, 40, 50 grand, pour money into them, and then turn around soon thereafter and sell them for 60, 70, 80, 90 grand with a wraparound. And yep, they live on the mortgage payments for the next 30 years or so. And
yep, I did a little differently. And usually you sell those to owner occupied.
Exactly.
And I did a little differently because I didn't trust the owner occupied in that area because it was such a rough area that I didn't want defaulted notes on a bunch of defaulted notes, which then means I'm the bank, right? I have to take it back. And I didn't want to get involved with that. So I sold them to investors on a 3-year balloon. And the deal was you can buy the property. I'll give you even a good deal, but I have to manage them at my normal management rates. And you have to refinance them or get out of it in 3 years. And some of them were 5 years, but most of them were 3 years because I wanted out of them. Looking back now, man, I mean, if I would have kept those properties, I bought them for $35,000 back in 2008. Today, they're worth about $120,000. So, but I was getting my butt kicked. Honestly, I was losing money every year. So it would have been a wash.
And it's really stressful. We manage our own properties here, and most days are good, but the stressful days are really stressful. And that's no fun. So it's no fun for your team, and it's certainly no fun for you as the principal.
Especially low income, right? Low income, they don't pay rent online, or they don't pay rent on time, or they don't pay rent at all. When you get the house back, I call them parting gifts, right? So the resident gets evicted or leaves. They may not take everything, but they take some things like your refrigerator, your dishwasher, and then the neighbors will take the AC unit, whether it's affixed to the property or not. They'll take the dishwasher, the stove. So I used to go into a house and all of a sudden it's holy crap. Like there's nothing there but pier and beams. And so, yeah, it's rough when your make ready costs are $10,000 to $15,000.
Yeah. I used to go to this place, a restaurant, actually. It was a dive. It was a long time ago back in college. And there was a sign there then, you just reminded me of it, that said, anything not nailed down is ours. And anything that can be pried up is not nailed down. So it's a difficult business, right? And one of the things for those folks listening out there, one of the things that you've got to be crystal clear on is the buying criteria. What does your buy box look like? And you've got to think through, not only can this building cash flow? Can I bring it back to life? But also what's it going to be like to manage? And it's not for everybody, I can assure you. And it can certainly be a huge challenge if you are, say, for instance, prone to taking things personally. Then property management is probably not the game for you, right? You should outsource.
I always equate like buying houses is like dating. And then when you buy the house and you have to own it and manage it, that's like marriage.
Yeah.
It's not super sexy anymore. It takes a lot of work, but it can be very fruitful over a long period of time.
The hubby gets a dad bod and stops shaking. I hear you. Yeah, that's, you're not wooing each other anymore, so to speak.
Nope. The hard work begins.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then you sell off the portfolio. Now you're into Empire, and Empire is what you sold in 2019. Yes.
Correct. I sold the business in 19.
Was
a funny thing about third-party management, though, it's a difficult business, even more so than managing your own properties, because now you're the shim stock between everybody and the owner. And funny thing is that I bought no properties for almost 8, 9 years when I was running the business because I was too busy. Now think about this. I'm managing properties. There's deals coming in front of me all the time, and I'm just too busy to see them. And I hear a lot of realtors, right? That happens with them as well. They see the deal and they're turning around and selling the deal. I'm like, this thing has $50,000 equity in it. What are you turning around selling it for? Because they're just too busy. They just want to get the deal done. And that exactly happened to me as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's one of the tactics that we've used a lot in terms of acquiring buildings is when we go into a market, one of the first things we're doing is making friends with guys like you, right? The property managers. And I want to meet their most stressed out owner. And so the reason being is that the property manager is running hard trying to manage that property. The stressed out property owner can be anywhere from just stressed to totally frantic and need to get out. And we've found that we've been able to acquire properties, really good deals that way. But it's interesting that you say, because my first question to the PM is, how come you didn't buy it? And I get similar answer to what you just gave me, which is, I don't have time.
Too busy earning a living to make a living. And those stressed out owners, by the way, they're terrible clients for property managers because now they're stressed out. They don't have the money or they don't want to invest the money. And now all of a sudden, now you are caught in between potential legal lawsuit. Residents going to send, and by the way, the management company always gets named in the lawsuit, always by both parties, by the resident and the owner. Can't win.
Yeah.
My deal is if you own a property management firm and you haven't been sued yet, you're not big enough yet. Yeah, or you haven't been into it long enough yet.
Matter of time.
It's a matter of time.
Okay, so Empire gets sold. You started VPM while you were it was JLL that you were at, right?
I sold Empire to a company called Mind, MYND, and they just merged with this year, a couple months ago.
Okay. All right. And then so you go work for the man for a little while. VPM gets launched. So tell me all about VPM. What does that company do?
Yeah, the inspiration behind VPM was when I was at Empire, I was struggling to make a profit. People in the States, they need more money, right? Our inflation has gone up and all that stuff. But the job roles that need to be done are kind of lower end job roles, right? Maintenance coordinator, leasing coordinator, answering a phone, exec admin, all these people that you need for tasks. And I was trying to fill them with people in the US, but the people I could afford had GEDs, maybe high school diplomas, but they had outside issues that brought into my company. They didn't really care. It was just a job. It wasn't a career. And they really didn't care about the company. Like they would use sick days. They would come in late, all that stuff. There's no passion there. And what we found is that if I hire people near shore, like I hired in Mexico because we were in Houston, Central America and Mexico, same time zone, Spanish speaking. And what I was able to buy, I was able to hire 2.5 people for 1 US salary. So think about that because all these tasks are coming in. So now I have 3 people doing tasks versus 1. So when I sold my business, I'm like, I can help. I was an early adopter in it. So I'm like, I can help other management firms do this. And I was going to do the way I was always doing it. Like I was going to go create a company in Mexico and then just basically say, hey, you hire a VA from me and then I'll pay them and I'll take the middle. And I ended up coming up, my business partner now, Ross, he came up with a better model and he came up with a model today, which is the marketplace. So think of it like a Match.com, Fiverr, if people know Fiverr, and it's built for real estate though. And so the company says, I need help with maintenance coordinator. And we have a bunch of profiles with free training on maintenance coordination and software that supports it. And so you can get somebody who's certified. You hire them through the platform and you pay them through the platform. And the way we make money is we get 10% from the VA or the remote team member.
Interesting. Okay. And so are you a middleman in terms of the transaction or are you relying on the VA to every 2 weeks when payday comes to pony up their part? I'm just curious.
Yeah. So I'm a middleman. I take my money just as a property manager. I took my 10% before I gave you the rent or my management fee. And so the virtual assistant, they put time in, they get paid weekly. And through our payment system, Stripe is our payment process. They take their little percent and I take my little percent. And then the remote team member gets the rest of it.
And so the talent that you're hiring is predominantly in Mexico. Have you looked at any other markets?
We're in 120 markets right now, but it's predominantly Philippines, Mexico, and Central America. I would say the main areas.
Ton of luck with hiring out of the Philippines here, and my basically right hand is someone who's been with us for 5, almost 6 years now, and I'd be lost without her.
And although inflation has hit the rest of the world, in the US, it's hit a little bit higher, but I remember Filipino workers 10 years ago, $2 an hour. Today, it's about 5, 6, $7 an hour is what I'm seeing out there.
Yeah. And the thing is, our bookkeeper who also sits in the Philippines, lives in the Philippines, she's a CPA, right? And we're hiring college educated, genuinely good, decent, hardworking people to a person, like right across the board. And the fact is their English is as good or better than mine. They certainly speak better than I do. And they understand the business, right? And so that's one of the unique things that you just said that I really want to drill into is, so you provide training in the background to help them to be a project core or
Maintenance coordinator or an appointment setter or marketing, social media.
So tell me about, so you've got some sort of like school or Kajabi in the background that is aligned with the job roles?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. We have about 30 plus courses right now. But if you think about it, let's say I live in the Philippines. I know nothing about US based real estate.
Right.
I don't know nothing about managing properties. So we built these property management 101 courses. There's 12 of them. It's 9 of them, 12 hours of content. And then what I went out and did is I got vendors that support the property management industry, and I was starting to get their courses on our platform as well. So I'm trying to consolidate all these courses. So I'm trying to build them for every job role. So the first phase was just overall property management. Now I'm trying to create one for every job role, and I'm trying to get all the vendor stuff, all the vendor training in one deal. So let's say, for example, I'm like, I need somebody who knows maintenance coordination and property meld and Appfolio. Those are two softwares and a job role. You can go in and click those certifications and pop up 1,500 people, and you can invite them to the job. So that's the idea. And for the remote team member, now they have, they're showing that they have the ability to learn. They're showing that they're interested in that subject, and they're showing that they know the subject.
Right.
So this way, when you get them, you don't have to teach them what is days on market mean? What does DOM mean? They know that stuff. So they're crawling, they're not sprinting, and they're still training. So I don't solve the training problem. I just get them further along when they get hired.
It's great that you do that though, because my experience both internally here as well as just colleagues who also work with virtual assistants, the primary difference between those that are successful with that model and those who struggle with that model is the back office training, right? Entrepreneurs, our world, like you were saying earlier, our world is frenetic. We're constantly busy. There's never downtime, right? You walk in the door at 7:30, you're walking out the door, best case 5:36, but it's usually a lot later. And you're on the phone, you're doing deals, you're making offers, you're solving problems. It's never ending. And so having that infrastructure to be able to train your team goes a long way, because like when we started hiring virtual assistants, we struggled a little bit, but it wasn't their fault. It was our fault. We weren't teaching them well enough how to do the job.
100% agreed. I actually created a video training for company owners on how to hire, train, and manage a remote team. It's the number one challenge that I have. When somebody fires a VA, it's not the VA's fault, it's their fault. And the main thing is, one is if you don't have a job description that you know exactly what that remote team member is supposed to do, they have no idea what they're supposed to do. If you for example, answer phones, all they'll do is signed by management. That is not a great job description. It's very, it's just very vague. So once you know that, and then you spend time, there's a great book called The 1 Minute Manager, and it's a easy read, highly recommend it. I use that as the training methodology. And of course, if you can create training and video when you train them, now you have a video training database. And then managing. Everybody needs to be managed, not micromanaged. And there's a big difference. And you don't want to abdicate, you want to delegate. And so it's like one person will be like, oh yeah, I hired my VA. And I just tell them, go ahead and just go do what you want, do you. I'm like, that's not managing. And the other ones, I want every 5 minutes, I want on a spreadsheet of what you've done. I'm like, you pay this guy $5 an hour. Meanwhile, you're paying somebody $80,000 a year in your office. They're coming in late. They're leaving early. They're taking long lunches. They're hanging out by the water cooler. They're taking smoke breaks. And you don't give two craps about this guy, but you care about the $5 an hour guy, making sure that he's working every minute of the day.
Right. So what do you do in terms of what's the happy medium? What's that look like in your world?
Yeah, look, this is just my perception. This is the way I've done it. I have 23 of them that work for me in Mexico and Philippines. I have virtual assistants that work for me now. Number one is Well, one, I always train them, right? Like, so it's like monkey see, monkey do. I train them, I video it. They watch the video later that day, and then they build the manual. So I made the mistake early on where I built a manual, I had a 100-page maintenance manual. No one ever read it. No one even knew how to navigate through it. So you have to train them. The second is the management piece is one, I manage by availability, right? So they're on Slack and they have to Slack me back within 15 minutes. They have to email me within 2 hours. They have to be on every call is video. They have to be in their office.
Yep.
Number two is I can't get escalations, either external or internal. If somebody says they cannot get in touch with you, that is a major problem with me. And then the last thing is KPIs. If I know the metrics that you're supposed to hit and you are hitting the metrics, Ed, I personally don't care if you work 40 hours a week or 20 hours a week.
Right on.
You're available and you're hitting your metrics. Don't care.
And that last one is so key, right? Going back in my consulting days, anything that's measured can be managed. And if you're not measuring, and it doesn't, and the thing is that I'm curious what your opinion on this. From my perspective, it doesn't need to be 47 KPIs, right? Key performance indicators.
Can't be
3, 5, max 5. And
so.
Keep it simple.
I've always been taught through business coaching that the department has 3 to 5, the business has 3 to 7, the job role 1 to 3. If you have more than 3 KPIs, then they're probably wearing too many hats.
Okay, noted. I got a couple of people wearing too many hats here. Then
my property managers had 11 KPIs when I first started. If everything's important, nothing's important. Right.
You're like frenetic, and that's unattainable. It makes it a lot for somebody to succeed at the job. I interviewed Nick Huber, who is a very successful down in the South. I think he's in Georgia. And one of the things that he said was, I don't need to hire, I'm paraphrasing, I don't need to hire A players, right? I need to hire regular people and provide the systems that regular people can succeed at in order for the business to succeed, right? And he's always on Twitter talking about buy boring businesses, run boring businesses. That's the way to growth and wealth. And on many levels, I agree with him. But that key point he made made a lot of sense to me, in that if you keep it simple, you don't need to hire an MIT grad with a Stanford postgraduate degree. You can hire a really smart person who's just coming off the street, train them on what they need to do, and not give them 3 to 5, but give them 1 to 3 KPIs to manage. And you'll find that they're very successful.
Yeah. When I manage my team and I have a weekly meeting with them, the main question that I ask as the business owner, the business leader, or the manager is, what challenges are you having and what can I do to make your job easier?
Leaders.
Absolutely. And if you do that and you strip away one challenge or one thing that they can make their job easier every week, that's 52 things. And they will be so prosperous for you because you stripped away all of these challenges that they're having.
Right. And I know you get it because I just noticed behind you that placard that says process.
The Process King. That's one of my nicknames.
Yeah. Being a former techie, me too. Okay. So we are getting into the latter part of the show. A little change here in season 4. Instead of the final 4, I've made it the final 5. And that probably gets me out of trouble with the NCAA. And also I get an extra question to get answered. So
I'm nervous. I only came prepared to answer 4 questions.
I'll mix up so you don't know which one's coming when. So if you could answer me this, in terms of purpose, I want you to finish the sentence. My purpose is
helping business owners be profitable and getting people out of poverty across the world.
Love that. You help enough people get where they want to go, they'll help you get where you want to go, right? It's exactly 101. What is the best advice you ever got and who gave it to you?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
A motivated seller just filled out your web form. If you call back within 5 minutes, you're nearly 4 times more likely to get that seller appointment. But delay your follow-up by even just 10 minutes? Forget it. You're toast. Ella Vista Connect calls that lead back in 60 seconds, qualifies them, and schedules your meeting. Find out how much slow follow-up is costing you. Free calculator at ellavista.com/underground.
I got a lot of great advice, but I'm gonna piggyback on your story earlier. business doesn't get easier, you get better, and business is boring. Those two things I got from a business coach of mine and who ended up becoming a partner. And Doug Winnie his name is Doug Winnie. And Doug used to tell me, business doesn't get easier, you get better.
Yeah, I love that. All right, so leaders almost universally are readers or consumers of information. So I'm always curious about what a guy like you is paying attention to. What books are you reading? Do you consume info on YouTube or podcasts, or do you go to conferences? How do you sharpen the saw, so to speak? And specifically, who are you paying attention to these days? What are you reading?
Yeah. So the book that is my Bible is called Traction by Gino Wickman, if you're familiar. And I read that one almost every quarter because we do our quarterly meetings, which is part of the EOS model. I self-implemented EOS at Empire. I self-implemented EOS at VPM. And I would say that's my Bible. I run the whole business that way. And yeah, it's all of the above. I listen to some podcasts, not as many. I'm more of a reader than I am podcast guy. I like a lot of YouTube. I'm into what's Alex Hormozi. I don't know if you heard of him. I'm into him right now. He's a big character guy, but he's so smart.
Yeah, he is. And his 2 books are excellent. 100 Million Offers and 100 Million.
Just bought them. They're in my inbox. I have to read them.
If you like Alex, I also suggest you read Russell Brunson's books, .com Secrets, Expert Secrets, and Traffic Secrets.
He's the funnel master, right?
.com and the Expert Secrets gets into a lot of additional stuff. Traffic Secrets is exactly what it sounds like, how to drive traffic. But those are excellent books. And actually, Russell be a mentor to Alex back in the day when they were doing the gym
launch. Yeah.
Launch. Thank you. All right. I want you to finish another sentence for me. Success means what to you?
Success means that I have enough money to survive and that I am in control of my calendar. I think that's what it means to me right now, and being happy. Like right now at VPM, I don't make great money. It's a startup.
Sure.
Right? But I make enough money to live my life, and I have my own calendar. I work when I want to work most of the time. Even business owners, you said earlier, sometimes like when I started Empire, it was 90-hour weeks. And I think having control of your life versus having to be told what and where to go and when to do it and how to do it is important to me.
I couldn't agree more. I think time freedom is the most valuable thing that people, especially younger people, like the 25-year-old version of me, totally overlooked. I wanted to build empires and be a bazillionaire and blah, blah, blah. And when I had kids, my wife and I had kids, and they got a little older, really the only thing I wanted to do was get up and spend my day the way I wanted to spend it without having to ask permission of anybody else, right? Other than my wife. You know how that works. But
yeah, you're never the boss of your house.
Okay. And the fifth and final, let's talk about failure, right? I think you learn more from mistakes than you do from successes. What is the one decision you'd like to have back, and how did you fix it?
So many to choose from. Just saying, okay? There's so many to choose from. But one of my first deals I did is I invested into an apartment complex. I was supposed to be a passive investor, but I actually had to sign on the mortgage, on the loan. Sorry, I had to sign on the loan to personally guarantee it. Now, think about that. I'm a passive investor, so I have no control of the property, and I'm personally guaranteeing a loan. And that was the end. On top of that, so it's 2 decisions in one role. I got my mom to invest. She wasn't personally liable for the loan. I invested at the time. I was 31. I found out about self-directed IRAs. I moved all my money that I had in my life, which was about 120 grand. I put that in. My mom invested another 70. First apartment complex I'm ever doing. And I'll just put it this way. Fast forward 3 years later, we lost the apartment complex. Not only did I lose all my money, but I was getting sued for $1.5 million because I personally signed for the note. It ended up working out okay overall, but talk about stress and a loss of sleep for sure. That was a rough period of my time. Meanwhile, I was engaged, and I'm like, I go to my future wife. I'm like, hey, if you want out of this thing, like you can get out of this thing because I'm getting sued. This is going to be if I don't win this thing, this is going to be really bad for us. And she stuck with me, and we're still married today, 17 years later.
Congratulations. You obviously married well.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm glad you got it worked out. One of the things that I've realized, and there have been a couple of projects I'd love to have back one case in particular, I got a little bit over leveraged. And the one thing that helps is, and I haven't always done it well, to be honest, but I'm getting better at it, is communication. You stub your toe, your first phone call is to your banker. Hey, here's the situation. I understand what's going on. Here's what I'm doing about it. Can you work with me? And sometimes the answer is no, but a lot of the case, they don't want to bring an asset, especially one as large as that, their balance sheet, because it just
I'll let you in on a little secret here. We did talk to the bank, and they actually were telling us, don't pay the loan. We're gonna go ahead and repackage the loan for you. And then they declared bankruptcy, or they took the property from us and sold it for more than what was owed on the loan, and then came back and sued us for the full amount, 30. And in that instance, I wish I didn't tell them anything.
Right.
And so we were very forthcoming with them. And so there's a lot more that goes into that story, but I agree. Yeah, you want to tell everybody communication, but man, be careful of bankers, especially if they're not local. Like my local bankers, they were awesome because I would walk in there and I can have a conversation. This bank, I think, was in Florida, and I couldn't. And I'm in Texas, and you just don't have that relationship. And to them, I was just a figure, and they saw how they could make money. They could steal my property from me, make a bunch of money. I owed $1.2 million on the property. They sold it for $2.1 million, and then sued me for $1.2 million. And that was another one. That was the one I was personally signed a note for. So that was scary.
I am a huge proponent of, I use commercial loans to acquire properties, and then I immediately refi them as soon as humanly possible with a local bank. So that exactly what you were saying, you can walk in the door, you can talk to the VP who's in charge of your loan, and there is something to be said.
Yeah,
so,
that's very smart.
Tread lightly. Be careful. Okay, thank you for that. When you are not talking about real estate or saving the world from bad virtual assistants, how do you like to spend your time?
So I'm into walking right now, believe it or not. So I used to be a triathlete. I did an Ironman, 3-time Ironman finisher.
Wow.
And I love walking. I walk right now in the last few months, I'm walking an average of 9 miles a day. So a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube.
Steps.
It's over 20,000 steps.
Okay. You have a short stride.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I'm a short guy. I'm only 5'7", so I have 20,000. I do about 20,000 steps every day. That's my new thing, man. Yeah, I love it. I walk everywhere now. I walk to the restaurants. I walk to the gym. I walk everywhere.
It's amazing what it does to clear your head too,
and it burns fat. I've lost 30 pounds walking in the last since we're recording this in end of September. I was 189, got down to 152, and now I'm a healthy 165.
Oh, congrats!
Thanks.
Good for you.
Thank you.
Ad has always said the big dogs get taken first, right? So for good health. Pete, hey, I've really enjoyed this conversation. If people want to get in touch with you or learn more about VPM or anything else that you're working on, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so I'm still old school. I like email. I respond to all my email. I do not have a virtual assistant that looks at my email. Can't my email yet. I know. It's pete@vpmsolutions.com. And I'm a Facebook guy, not a LinkedIn guy. I don't know why. I have just gotten into LinkedIn. So I'm a Facebook guy, and I think it's Pete Neubig 1. I think, like, just friend me. And if you want to go to our site and learn more, it's vpmsolutions.com.
Okay. We'll make sure that all this is in the show notes. But Pete, I've really enjoyed this conversation. Congratulations on all your success. Enjoy your walking. I'm sure your knees feel a whole lot better than having to bike ride and run bike run and swim, whatever. It's
140.6 miles.
Hard pass for me on that. But congratulations on that, and your 18 or your 20,000 steps a day, and keep on keeping on. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, and thanks for having me.
This has been the Real Estate Underground. Don't forget to subscribe. It helps us grow. Until next time, Undergrounders, remember your real estate journey begins with a simple step forward. Now get to it. Bye for now.